Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're talking about soul contracts, but in a little bit different aspect. A lot of times when I'm asked about soul contracts, people are usually asking about like soul contracts that they have with their parents or their siblings or other friends or family that are big, important people in their life. But I will guarantee you there are some other contracts you really should know about, and we're going to talk about them. I will tell you there's several other contracts, and I'm not going to cover all of them because there's a lot of different other soul contracts. But I will tell you that soul contracts are kind of like a sneaky way. It's almost like you signed a contract with a weird attorney, and he didn't tell you like all the fine details about it. Because a lot of times people sign contracts or even state contracts. In previous lives that never kind of go away. And so we're going to talk about some of those and hopefully some ways of kind of getting rid of some of them. Let's talk about it. So I will tell you the first one I get is kind of like the soul contract of money. This usually comes in, and I usually see this with people that were a priest or a pastor in the past, or someone who went into becoming a monk or something like that, somewhere that they had to kind of give up all their riches, all their claim to their family fortune or whatever else. They couldn't bring anything in. And a lot of times, like whatever they had on them when they came literally was given to other people. And so they kind of learned that like, oh, everything that's of value to me, I need to gift it away. I'm not allowed to keep it. And so you kind of get into this weird part like, why don't you have any money? And I actually see this more than anything else a lot with people that are supposed to be very wealthy. I have people that do all different kinds of things, but it's like they can't hang on to that money. Like no matter what, it just kind of zips through their hands and it's off again. And it's from that lifetime of like, you had it with you and then at some point you let it go. And usually it's the way that that contract was stated, or that they had to repeat that contract in that past life, that is causing a lot of the issues. So instead of this contract of in this lifetime only or whatever else, it's kind of like it goes on and on and on. And where I feel like this kind of the best way to explain it is when you sign a marriage contract. When you sign a marriage contract, when you're up there on the altar talking about things, it's one of those. A lot of times, a lot of American contracts, marriage contracts say, until death do us part, meaning whoever dies first, the other one is free to go and find someone else. Okay, easy. There are some contracts where they don't state that. They state no matter what happens, you are my person until both of us have passed. Or no matter what else happens, you're connected to me. And so what happens when they're born into another lifetime and they don't find each other, or they marry off to someone else, or the other one does, it's like, I signed this contract and you're not here. Or they end up going through several lifetimes where they never find each other, so they never get to be able to kind of like get back together. So then they're in a lifetime where they never quite get to be with the person they love, to remarry that person that they love. And so that can be very like, So however those contracts are stated, and I guarantee I'm not an attorney, but however they are stated in that, when you stated them in whatever lifetime for you, that kind of stays with you. So the one for money can be one like I said, come in from priests or pastors or people that become monks, or usually some type of religious order that you had to like let go of everything that you had to become part of the new order. Some of them kind of come in and almost like with a God complex is kind of an interesting one. Kind of the soul contract is that I will give up whatever I want or think I need or anything else. I'll put aside like my wants and needs for other people. And sometimes this happens like they're sacrificing themselves, their job, their whatever it is, for everybody else, but no one's sacrificing to them. No one's like giving up their time or anything else. Like you got a flat tire on a rainy road in the middle of the night, they're the one that's going to come get you. But when it's the flipped around, it's like, oh, I'm busy, or oh, I can't do that, or whatever else. And it's kind of like, that's the frustrating part of this, is because it's like, they're almost like, I've saved you, or I've helped you, or I've done this for you, but you're not willing to do it for me. And a lot of times these people end up with a lot of resentment around them, because it's like, And a lot of times they're like, I don't know why. I feel like I've been doing this for many lifetimes where I just keep, giving to others and giving to others, but I'm not getting anything in return. Well, that's the thing is, you are just giving and giving and giving, and you're not ever expecting anything in return. And because you're not, you kind of end up in that like God syndrome of like, I need to give everything away. Or if I wanted something for myself, they feel almost like selfish. And it's like, really? It's not selfish to want to do nice things for you. So it's kind of like that, but they're always in that like God complex, like, I need to save everybody else. But usually they end up with a lot of resentment and usually a lot of physical ailments as well. One of the things that contracts that I think is kind of one of the more interesting ones is really a contract about like not rocking the boat. And I call them my squishy people. It's kind of like when they could say something that would help, when they could like break the rules, or they could step out of their comfort zone, they go and just stop. And so these are people like, I have a client who is the funniest thing. She can make you laugh until you just roll on the floor. She is just freaking hilarious. But you have like, man, you should be a comedian. She's like, can't do it. Can't go there. And that's one of those things is like, she just makes herself small. That squishy little small thing. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to say anything. But they have their own kind of like, they're afraid to kind of let that personality out. They'll let it out at home at times. But it's one of those, they're not going to let it out anywhere else. And a lot of times they feel like no one will like them or no one will care for them. Like, y'all are laughing because y'all are my family or whatever else, but it's not because I'm really good at this. Y'all are just making this all up. I'm that great. They never really step into their own power. And this can be like, they want to start a business, but they never do. They, want to start a school or something else, like anything. It's like they just have so many like dreams, like I want to write a book, or I want to write a children's book, or I want to do this, or I want to become a teacher, I want to do that, but no one's going to like me, no one's going to do this, no one's going to do, and it's kind of like before you do anything, like they're already like being that squishy self, and they're not stepping out into their own power. So it's kind of like, you have all this personality, you have all of this love and give of doing things and all of these things that you really want to do, but they never open up. They never step out of their own comfort zone of like, let me just try it. Good, bad, fail, whatever it is, I'm just doing it. And a lot of times they just kind of stay in that squishy mode of like, nope, not going there. And that can be really, really harsh as well. So it's kind of be like, crazy. Kind of my next one is kind of a contract to be like stressed out or anxious. That might be one you have. This may seem a lot of normal things that people go through. I will tell you, as a child, I was always stressed out. I was always worried. I was always anxious. And it's one of those, but a lot of times like people with this, like they never learned to kind of remove that worry and realize worry's only just keeping them busy. It's kind of like you're on a stationary bike just going, you're not moving forward. But you feel like you are because you're pedaling, but you're not going anywhere. And this can kind of come off as kind of like you are, moving forward all the time, but you really never get there. And you always have this anxiety and this stress and this energy. And so this can be kind of like a blink of anxiety that you never are able to overcome. I think a lot of people stay in that energy and they never quite get past it because they have so much stress and anxiety. And it's like that soul contract was like, in a previous life, if no one's going to be nervous or stressed out about this, I will. I'll do it. I'll be this. And so they kind of take on that stress and that worry from other people. But they don't realize they are. They don't realize, like, I'm taking your stress and your worry that you should be worried about, and I'm stressing about it. And it's like, seriously? That person does not need you to help them stress. They got it covered. And a lot of times, like, they never do anything about it because, like, they're so in that energy of someone else's stress and they don't realize that it's not theirs, that they just stay stressed constantly, and they never really get to move forward or kind of get out of that energy in any way, shape, or form. So it can be like, really, we gotta get someone else's energy. One of the ones that I see a lot, and this is kind of one of those like, really, the soulmate of being alone, the soul contract of being alone, because a lot of times what happens is someone will like go out on dates and they'll be set up by all their friends and their family and everybody else, and they're trying to find someone for them to find and to love, But a lot of times, they just almost repel the person, like that y'all would be great together, y'all have so much in common and all this kind of stuff, and it's like they meet and they're kind of like pushed away. And this is kind of like that soul contract of having difficulties, and you're always kind of like pushing that person away. No matter how they come at you or anything else, you always feel separated, you always feel alone, you always feel unsupported. And that's kind of that craziness of just being alone all the time. A lot of times they're almost like unable to feel supported by anybody, their family members, their friends, or anything else. Like kind of like, I support you, but you don't support me. And so a lot of times, like, that's a lone feeling, and that's what they never really get over or kind of get past in some way. The next one is, this is kind of like the contract of loyalty. And this is kind of like that loyalty of like, paying attention to or doing for like your friends and your family and other things. You're always doing for other people. You're always kind of like giving from your heart. You're always doing things out of loyalty to your family, to your brothers, to your sisters, your children, your spouse, whatever it is. But you never really hold on to that for you. It's one of those, you go above and beyond every time for everybody else, but you don't do it for you. Why are you not doing it for you? But that's kind of one of those, like, why are you not doing it for you? And a lot of times they'll say, like, I don't know why. I just keep feeling like I need to pour more into them. And they'll get, a lot of times, this soul contract of loyalty ends up with a lot of resentment, because it's like, I've given everything to you. They're the ones that come out in the middle of the night in the pouring rain to help you change your tire or whatever else. But when that incident is flipped, the other person's not coming. And you're kind of like, I've been loyal to you. Why aren't you not loyal to me? And it's because they don't have the same contracts you do, and they don't have that same way of thinking about this. And I think that's kind of really what it is kind of like deciding to make changes to those contracts can be a great thing for people, and kind of like looking at it differently. I will tell you that kind of releasing these soul contracts can release a lot of like stress, chaotic energy from your life. And a lot of it is literally just changing your mind. Now, a lot of times I love to go take clients in to go see the soul contract or do a soul contract meditation, so they can go back in there and literally tell themselves, like, I'm cutting this contract. I'm not abiding by this. I'm not doing this part. And so that can be like a release from them, because they actually went in there, got to like cut their own soul contracts up. And sometimes that's the best way to do it. So you're kind of like not hanging on to all of that old energy. And there are some other ways to do it without going into a meditation. I will tell you, I think the meditation is probably the easiest and the best way, because that person gets to see it for themselves. They get to see this for themselves, of how the contract was written, why it was written that way, why was it stated. And sometimes we can actually add our own words in, if we go back to that spot, kind of clearing things out. But there are a lot of soul contracts out there in play that are not just with other people. I think that's kind of like a misconcept, that it's like those are the only ones that are really important. So let's do some angel cards and get us a little bit more information about soul contracts, other than people contracts, and kind of like what else can we do to kind of release them or let them go or upgrade our thinking in this area. So the first one that's coming out is literally coming off the bottom, and it's our intentions. Setting the right intentions of breaking those soul contracts can be amazing, and it can give you such a release of what's going on in and around you, that sort of thing. Kind of like, I'm not going to live with that soul contract anymore. I'm cutting it up. I'm kind of like tearing up that soul contract, and I'm ready to let it go. Miracles. I think most people feel miracles when they really actually have that soul contract broken or released from it. You know, like from now on, that soul contract is gone. It's like it's lived out. That's the last day that it's valid. And a lot of times those are miracle days of just like, now you get to do what you want to do. And now you get to do the things the way you want to do them, instead of allowing other people to tell you what to do. Spiritual growth. This can be a very spiritual growth, and make sure that when you are around other people, that whatever contracts you state to them, that you're living up to your end of the agreement, or they're living up to their end of the agreement. A lot of times when people have great soul contracts, they live up to every part of the soul contract, but sometimes the other person doesn't live up to them as well. So then that's something that we can kind of like cut them out and kind of, or never sign that contract. We can go back and do that as well. New beginnings. Once those soul contracts are broken, that is the best part. You get to break them forever and you get to start to begin again. You get to live your life brand new all over again in a very healthy, very like, wow, I can make some changes for myself energy. That is the part that's most important. That new beginning for you. Now that those soul contracts are no longer holding you to a standard that no one else is holding you to, you can make some new contracts with yourself, for yourself, with your friends and your family, and really make ones that are truly in balance for both sides. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.